मैडम आपका चिकन 10 मिनट में इतना ही मिलेगा.
The story of 10-minute delivery actually starts with 30-minute delivery that was pioneered by a company called Webvan in the United States in 1999. They had versions of everything we have right now: warehouses, checkpoints, algorithms. In fact, they were doing so well that they raised a $400 million round, followed by a $375 million IPO, and were valued at $6 billion, a unicorn. And guess what? 3 years after inception, they died, bankrupt, never to be seen again. A post-mortem analysis tells us that they failed because of 3 reasons. First of all, they tried to capture a segment of the market that wasn't the premium segment. The problem with Webvan is they first went for the lowest tier consumers who were only able to spend very little on the average order. The next thing is that they aggressively scaled without even realizing how much they're spending. You see, there's this mentality of constantly raising capital and then figuring out what to do later. The problem with that is that at some point your burn gets out of your control, which is what happened to Webvan. Finally, Webvan decided to build all their stuff from scratch, and that ended up being their demise because they spent just too much. And that's the problem with delivering groceries or food to you in record time. You just don't end up making enough money and it costs too much. The idea is convenience. When somebody is offered 2 options, one where there's 30-minute delivery and one where there's 10-minute delivery, most people would go to 10-minute delivery as long as the pricing is the same. The idea with Zepto or Blinkit or any of the others that do this super fast is that they are winning your trust and your attention in an attention-deprived world. If Big Basket, which takes 3 to 4 hours to deliver food to you, now gets disrupted by Zepto, which just takes 10 minutes, Zepto now takes away all of Big Basket's business. And it's not just that, it's also about frequency. The average person needs to order grocery sometimes 1 or 2 times a day. Now, I've told you the consumer need for this. I've told you that the environment was ripe for these companies to sprout. Let me tell you why they are struggling right now despite what they've raised. The first one is they give a lot of cash back because they want to incentivize you to buy from them and not from the other competitor offering it in 10 minutes. The next thing obviously is driver incentives. You can't keep giving away money to steal drivers from the next business. You can't generate new drivers and you need to get their attention. Zepto being a new company and Grofers with their rebrand requires droves of drivers doing many deliveries a day, and that's not possible unless you're giving crazy incentives.
Next joinee, please. Sir, because you joined Pepto as a driver, here is your joining bonus और उसके साथ साथ free BV.
सर, पर मैं तो गए हूँ सर.
Oh.
The next thing is that the quick commerce segment in India today has an average order value of only 400 rupees. And it turns out that on every grocery type item except fresh fruits, they make only 10% margin, which is really razor thin. The next thing is that it's hard to do quality control on so many dark stores, especially when you acquire them and spring them up in a few weeks. Stale food has actually been a problem for Zepto and all of the other 10-minute companies.
Sir, ये रहा आपका fresh delivery.
And finally, venture funding in India has reduced, the number of deals has reduced, and it's a bad time to be a venture funded entrepreneur in the country. Trust me. One last dynamic to mention here is that the more competitors that pop up in this space, the harder it is for each player. If I'm offering 10% discount, my competitor is going to offer 20. So I have to compete by offering 30% discount. It gets harder and harder, and eventually many of these companies will hit the floor until there are just 2 winners. That's right, in most consumer segments, you see just 2 winners: Zomato, Swiggy, Ola, Uber. Therefore, in India, you have this duopoly of companies emerge, and that's why everyone's okay with discounting. They're bleeding the other person dry. Now, there's one more statistic I need to tell you. which is that in March 2022, Swiggy had 978 traffic violations. Now, hearing that number, a lot of aunties and uncles might go, "Oh my god, they're driving fast, there's doom machale going on." But that isn't always true. With 10-minute delivery, the food or the item that you've ordered is probably coming from less than 1 kilometer away. This is why Zepto bought dark stores. These dark stores are like hubs that appear all over the city and that have delivery agents available on demand. It's also the reason you don't get 10-minute grocery delivery outside of the range of hubs. Like I told you, these algorithms are now at this point open source, and it is possible for you to build a system through technology which doesn't endanger driver lives while giving you what you want in 10 minutes. The pioneers of this were Domino's. Even before you checked out on the Domino's website, your pizza had already started being prepared.
Hi, I'd like to get myself a garlic bread and a pizza. What about a Coke? Huh? Fast service. Stone, paper, scissors, pizza!
Similarly, with Zepto and Blinkit and all the others, your food or your items are being prepared even before you hit the checkout button. One last thing to note here is that these dark stores have items like milk, Maggi, and all the others that everybody wants. So for every item in a dark store, they are deciding what the market size is, and you can only order the items with the largest market size. Now, here's the opinion part. Do you actually need 10-minute delivery? As an entrepreneur, I personally believe that 10-minute grocery delivery is a marketing gimmick. At the end of the day, Zepto is a grocery delivery company, right? Eventually, they will do food delivery and so on and so forth. What they're trying to do is earn your trust and do it before the others. The reason I believe that there isn't a long-term business here is simply because of the business fundamentals. At the end of the day, as a business, you need to be profitable and not VC dependent to live. And many of these businesses have got stuck in the trap. I do believe there is consumer need. I do not believe that these companies will stay profitable long enough to win that consumer need. And as for consumers, they might scream on Twitter, they might shout on Twitter, but I have seen this pattern for 10 years. They will always gravitate to what gives them highest convenience. We all, including me, are hypocrites when it comes to our behavior on platforms.
Oh my god, guys, ये पेप्टो वाले ना कितने फास्ट ड्राइविंग करते हैं. It's totally unsafe.
बबलू, तेरा पेप्टो है।
मम्मी यार, जब मैं लाइव स्ट्रीम पे झूठ बोल रहा हूँ तब टोका मत करो. मेरे वर्क पॉइंट्स कम होंगे.